So good morning. Welcome to the 2018 HPA Tech Retreat Super Session, whatever that means. Another sellout crowd, and I'm thinking over the time we're going to fill in every seat in the room. So we're looking forward to a really great set of 4 more days of adventures here. How many attended the AI session yesterday? Good? You know, you can applaud, that's okay. So should we do that again or something like that again, where the bleeding edge, is that the right thing to do? And so if you have any good ideas of what you think we should cover next time, let us know, because we like stealing good ideas. So email us, let us know some ideas if you think for the TRX day as we move forward. So we think that's good. If you left something behind at the session, they have it at the front desk. So if you're missing one of your loved ones, meaning a technology issue, please see someone at the front desk. And normal word of advice, we have lots of expensive laptops and bags in here. Watch your stuff. We haven't had any problem in the last couple years, but in years before we have had things walk away. So just be aware and protect what you have. How many of you are first-timers here? Fair number. Oh, that's good. Well, welcome. A couple of suggestions on how best to make use of your adventure. Network. That's what this really is. I pay more attention to the breaks to make sure we have 20 minutes break time than I do about what we're presenting here. So, as they say, if you see someone, say something. It tends to be a chatty group. A whole bunch of people with extremely strong opinions, but they seem to evolve over the week. So at first you find out how good Netflix is, and then later on it's about how good Amazon is. God only knows what's happening to HBO, but that's different. And then you'll realize that no one agrees on anything except everyone worships Mark Cuban. Where's Mark Cuban? I saw him come. People like doing things in different ways, seek to learn about these new approaches, lots of new players in this space, and they all think they know more than you do. Have discussions. Go out and have a martini or two and see if your opinions change, or if you care. So breakfast roundtables are tomorrow morning. Again, for first-timers, you don't know what that is, but we meet outside, and they're literally that, roundtables. You sit down, you discuss a particular technology topic. It's a great way to have one-on-one interactions. I find that probably one of my favorite parts of the whole retreat. So please make use of it. It's 7:30 in the morning, sorry, but it's a really good thing to do to enjoy this. You have some of the best thought leaders in the industry right here, and you can either be one or influence one. Some logistics, breakfasts, and as you saw outside, and lunches. They will be down at the end of the hallway and down some stairs and in a big tent outside. So those of you that brought hats like I did, I don't know if you're going to need them, because I think we're going to have a good coverage for lunches as we go forward. Restrooms can be found outside, and if you can't find them, you have other problems. And in case of emergency, get out. Later today, the Innovation Zone right behind us here opens up. Another great place to network and see new tools, and another chance to drink. Great theme of the HPA is ability to have alcoholic beverages. During the sessions here, you'll notice that the introductions will be extremely short. We want to hear from folks, not about folks. Feel free to find bios in the HPA app. So if you don't have the app on your phone, I highly recommend you get it. You can do rating on it and also see what's going on and the timing. Really good. So today is the super session. It's a day of curated presentations to address things the HPA board wants to hear about. That's right. The HPA board puts together this because they want to hear about these topics, and they're happy to share with you. So we don't do it literally for you, we do it for the HPA board, which is kind of an interesting twist on how you run a conference. They wanted more information and details on a number of things, and we asked folks to come and talk about it for all of us. The industry keeps changing, and the breadth of topics keep changing, and today is no exception. So I'm going to vamp for a little bit so it gives you a chance to read the schedule for today. We'll be talking about workflows again. This is our third time, I believe, that we've done. Is it third time, Leon? Third time for us to have workflows, and it keeps changing and moving forward. And I want to thank the board and the HPA program committee in putting together the program. I'm excited to hear from Amazon about their approaches to workflows, to understand the complexity of live events, to hear about the use of ACEs and the creation of Black Panther. That'll be interesting. We're going to hear about VR workflow and how do they do that, and the latest in color workflow and making things work in the cloud. So today we're on a relaxed schedule. Tomorrow through Friday is on Shubin time, but not today. So we will be loosey-goosey. So if things are going well and good questions or discussions, we'll let it go. But don't expect to hit these times. That's why they are, the hero session of VR is 11:45-ish. We'll see when that goes. Don't expect it to start at exactly 11:45. Tomorrow, it will be at exactly 11:45 if we're on here. We expect to have time for questions, as will be the case during all the tech retreat. If you have a question, raise your hand. Leon and I will find your hand, chase you down with a microphone. Don't ask a question without a microphone. And most important, have a good time and learn some new ideas and approaches. So to set the stage for the day and the workflow, what better way than from Amazon, since they have learned how to do things and are evolving as we go forward. I'd like to approach those crazy workflows that they have, and so I've asked Usman Shakeel to give us an overview. Would you join us? You can clap.
All right. Good morning. Really excited to see you guys all here. Thank you, HPA, for the opportunity. My name is Usman Shakeel. I'm a worldwide tech leader for media and entertainment at AWS. And in this particular role, I work with many of our customers, from content producers to broadcasters, post-house facilities, all across the world. And when I was asked to do this presentation, I thought about, so what is the common question that I hear from our customers, right? And what are the common themes or ideas that customers are exploring? So the key idea that I came up with is this whole idea of content lakes, where there is a common place for all the content, whether during production workflows or supply chains or processing or broadcast or distribution type of workflows. So we all know that the customer expectations for media have changed. There is this explosion of content, if you will. Customers these days, they want to watch the content anytime, anywhere, on any device. And the more content, the better. And it's not just the more content, the better, but rather personalized content. What appeals to me is the most important thing. So when people used to talk about this concept, like even 2 years ago, it was quite a novel idea, well, as if this is going to happen, right? But today, we're actually living this. And this is actually leading to fundamental changes in the industry. And what I thought about was, I would like to share a few quotes or few ideas from some of our customers that are actually looking at this whole change. And what is this kind of, say, question, the new question that kind of comes into the minds of the CTOs, if you will. So first of all, John Honeycutt from Discovery, they talk about Discovery's business is becoming increasingly dynamic. What is that increasingly dynamic? It's really this whole idea of being able to personalize this content, being able to deliver, scale, and be able to meet the needs of the consumer, being really personalized, give them a personalized experience, right? And in order to distribute that content on every screen and launch new and innovative products, the ability to scale their technical operation is critical, right? So these are the things that the CTOs are thinking about. We've all heard about content being king, but it's actually time to monetization of content that is king. I actually stole this slide from our AWS reInvent show earlier in 2017. Michael Cotter from Turner really talks about how the time aspect is very, very important. And it's not just the time aspect, it's also the knowledge that is associated with that content. So with time, you're creating more and more content. There is more and more knowledge that's associated with it. But what you want is that exploitation speed, right? How quickly you can take that, be able to understand what this content is about, and monetize it, meaning bring it in front of the viewers. David Andrade, he's the founder of Theory Studios, one of our great customers. He talked about what it took to make the Man in the High Castle. Basically, it's a team of 45 artists across 6 different countries. They don't have any physical location, no office. They are transferring over 20 terabytes of data monthly to the cloud, and 30,000 plus assets that are generated for the show, right? And their entire studio is based on the cloud. There is no physical location, no servers, no storage systems, nothing. So they are the true example of a globally dispersed production workflow. Now, these, some of these things that I talked about, these are really the fundamental changes in the industry. And what you see is it's actually the viewer expectations that are causing business change to operational implications, and then customers that are the media and entertainment companies are looking for solutions or have expectations for solutions. So first of all, as the consumers, they want immediate access. They want to pay for what they watch. They want to have very high quality content anytime, anywhere. And that right there creates the whole business challenge, which is the cord cutting and distribution is moving towards the different forms of video on demand or even live OTT-based streaming. And we see operational implications because now there is a whole lot of this content, and these workflows require a whole lot more scale. So how do you really quickly scale up to the demands of these workflows? And so the customers then are looking for solutions that are highly scalable OTT or broadcast playout solutions that are scalable and not tied to a specific infrastructure. The second one being personalization. What is relevant to me, the consumer of that content? So everybody who's the content owner actually is looking for going direct to the consumer. And then, being more adaptive to those workflows. Machine learning is a big aspect to it, which is actually the operational implication. So, again, as they say that, with the necessity, there is new invention or new things, right? So basically, machine learning, creating personalizations or recommendation engines, and even going beyond that, the entire thing within the business, right? It is the operational implication. And from a solution perspective, the media companies are looking for the means to understand that the content itself and all the data that is associated with that content and all the data that comes from the consumption of that content. What are the solutions around it? And then lastly, more and more content. So customers want more choice. And that has business changes again. Basically, how do I scale my business to appropriately be able to create additional content in a much more efficient way, and the whole idea of scalability. So from a solution perspective, the cloud allows the media companies to build the right solution. And that allows the media technologists to start looking at these workflows completely end-to-end. That remove these silos that, I'm not just a VFX house that I'm going to worry about creating a VFX of this particular content, and somebody is going to deliver that content to me. That I can look at faster media workflows. That it's, I'm not really bound by a specific number of render nodes that I have or a specific number of transcoders that I have on my facility. Rather, I can really go and scale out. I can build smarter content or smarter workflows, rather. I can learn through my past experiences how efficient my workflows were, not just have use that data set to learn, but actually aggregate this entire data set to use it across multiple different facets of the workflow. and making the workflows much more efficient, on-demand, pay-as-you-go. And then finally, I can work in a global teams manner where I can take that and take these workflows and do actual content collaboration across the globe. So usually in media companies, there is a common pattern that you see across these multiple workflows. This chart here, you guys have probably seen this before in my presentations, but really talks about a complete glass-to-glass media workflow, which is, from the acquisition of content to various stages of content production, whether that is VFX or cinematic packaging, et cetera, archiving, asset management, and then media supply chains, and then the distribution or delivery of the content that also includes playout, over the top, publishing, and then taking this entire thing and running analytics on top of it. So what we see across all of these different segments of this workflow, if you will, truly these days, most of the companies, they kind of work in a siloed fashion, where you see that, how there is a company that's doing certain things within acquisition, there's a post-house facility, somebody is doing the archive, somebody is managing the transfer of the assets back and forth, there's even physical transfer of the assets many times, right? We've all seen that. And then on the distribution side, similar type of scenarios. Across all of these, there is a lot of movement of content from one place to another place, right? Which is highly inefficient. And in this new kind of world where we live in, with the high resolution content, the content files growing larger and larger, and much more content choices that our consumers are looking for, at the end of the day, this causes a lot of inefficiencies within the workflow. And same goes for data. So again, content by itself, yes, content is king, but actually the data associated with it is highly important in these workflows. So as you see, throughout this workflow, you'll have multiple different facets or locations where the data is coming in, whether coming in from the content itself, extracting out metadata, et cetera, or certain levels of performance data or user logs. But how do you actually make it all or combine it all together, aggregate it all together? Right now, it's all in these different silos. So maybe a better pattern is to kind of look at it in the form of the whole data lake analogy. Let's call it a content lake as well, right? Where you have one repository of content that holds your entire content from the acquisition to different post facilities or production workflows, to your media supply chains, to distribution. So basically a complete end-to-end thing. What we see is this new kind of evolution towards the consolidation of this entire workflow, where your data has a single repository and your content has a single repository. But more importantly, what this enables media companies to do is to run these smart mechanisms on top of this content and data set. That is to aggregate this content, that is to aggregate this metadata or data and run machine learning and artificial intelligence type of workflows on top of it, giving the capability of a unified search that allows efficiencies within the workflow of content production, efficiencies within content distribution, knowing what your consumer actually is looking for, and actually taking it a step further, which is to automate this entire setup. So really what this is enabling is some of the benefits is more efficient content creation, processing, and delivery, smarter content organization, higher content monetization, and secure content. Those are my favorite, at least. So first of all, efficient content processing workflows, right? So there is no data movement, rather physical or network related across these silos. Unified data content that can be leveraged across workflows, as I talked about. Smarter workflows by using ML techniques. Some of the examples that I've listed here, I won't go through the details, but as you know, that companies are increasingly looking at all of those things. But how do you enable all of those things? The content has to be at a place where all this tool set is. So that this kind of creates a new kind of mentality, which is stop moving the content around, rather bring these processes, these intelligence close to the content. Smarter content organization, so there is more unified and efficient metadata. So starting from capturing the metadata itself, if it is a single or a unified location, there is a lesser loss of that metadata, right? There is cross-functional metadata repository and image and video recognition and automated tagging. So again, we're getting into the ML applications that could be applicable to the content. And that enables unified store and searchability. This also enables higher content monetization because one can create personalized content, create personalized ads because of all of this data set being in a single location and being readily available to run a lot of analysis or smarts on top of. As an example, Netflix, 93 million global members streaming over 125 hours of TV shows, all through the recommendations engine that they have, right? So this is all ML-based content investments you can do, right? So content producers that then can look at what are some of the things that were really widely popular among our customers, and reducing the distance from content owner to the consumer, going direct to the consumer. So the lesser we transfer the content, the secure it is. Every piece of content could always be encrypted with key management, appropriately vending keys to service providers. So one silo moving content to another silo, instead of that, what if it's just an access and just a transfer of keys, right? Constant audit trail around content access and workflow tasks. That's another capability that this whole idea of content lakes or data lakes kind of gives you. And then notifications and alerts based on anomaly detection. Consumer data security is another one, and then automated tracking of illegal torrents, right? So these are some of the applications. I'm sure there's a whole lot more that we kind of get into, but some of the highlights that this whole kind of pattern enables our customers. But are there some caveats? It is kind of, yes, the market or the industry is kind of moving in that direction, but there are still certain things that we need to think about. For example, if my content is in the cloud, I still have to download it or move it or somehow egress the cloud for some of these things like high resolution editing, final edits, QC, color correction tasks, et cetera, where latency matters. We're seeing a lot of different advancements in that direction, from GPU offerings that are highly scalable, flexible, to things like what our friends at Teradici are doing, with providing a turnkey solution right in the cloud for editing type of capabilities. The second one is ISV ecosystem maturity. So we see all these asset management systems, all the different tool set or tool chain that's available. We're seeing a lot of progress in terms of these companies moving towards the cloud, kind of looking at content that is stored in the cloud. So let's say cloud storage as the standard for these things, if you will, or integration into cloud storage. So some of the examples I like to talk about, from the customers, where these content lakes or data lakes are starting to take shape or are actually in action. So Sony DADC, great customer of ours, they took this whole idea of content lakes, right? And they're putting over 20 plus petabytes of content that's currently on the cloud, with over 80,000, well, actually 800,000 hours of content. Right? So that was the whole idea. Why did they do that? I mean, because they were under a lot of pressure from the on-premises infrastructure. And how do we scale to the growing demands of the business? And it's not just that. It's started with that archive being in the cloud, but then building this entire supply chain and actually the distribution mechanism on top of it. That is the true benefit from the scalability of the cloud that they were able to get. And they're going in further, other directions like, the other steps like machine learning, artificial intelligence that they can put on top of the content, because it already lives in the cloud where all these different tool chains are. I talked about discovery communications earlier. So discovery, again, started with having their content lake in the cloud, building an entire scalable media supply chain around it, which enables them to scale to the demands of the business, to be able to create this content which is going to be available not just for their playout solution, which is their main kind of say distribution mechanism, rather for other mediums as well, for example, OTT, etc. But then they took it a step further where they actually migrated their entire media playout or channel playout system in the cloud as well, the first off for the industry. Turner talked about their media supply chains in the cloud and the CNN archive. So the idea being having the content available readily and being able to search across multiple different facets to make it available when the business needs is the key. And then lastly, Theory Studios, as I talked about earlier, they had a challenge of building a highly scalable VFX rendering pipeline in the cloud. And how did they do that? Across a globally dispersed team of artists, basically by using the cloud. So with that, I thank you very much. I hope I incite some interesting ideas. Happy to answer any questions afterwards as well. I'm going to be at the back. Thank you very much.